variety show performance, which we'll be talking about a little later, because we'll be talking to a couple of stars of it. They are the Ehrlich brothers from Germany, and they do remarkable illusions, and you'll see them tonight on the telly. But in the meantime, let us head to the University of Reading. Why? Because, well, the University of Reading have handed out an honorary degree to the founder of the charity Nasio Trust. Kenyan-born Nancy Mudenyo Hunt founded the trust to help people from her home country get out of poverty. Today, the charity employs more than 100 staff members from rural Kenyan communities, supports more than 450 children, and provides many education programs. Today, or she received earlier this month rather, it was an honorary degree of the Doctor of Letters. Wow. So let's find out more. Dr. Nancy's with me right now. Hello there, Nancy.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. Yes, how does it feel to be a doctor, by the way?
Well, I don't know what to say, really. It still hasn't sunk in yet.
When is it you found out, and what was your initial reaction?
I was in UK and I got an email, and then they said there was a letter to the office. So first I thought, oh, this can't be real. This is a joke, until I see a letter, because sometimes you get junk emails and you think, oh, maybe it's just one of those junk emails, really. So I didn't do anything. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want to embarrass myself. So when the letter came through the post and actually saw the actual letter and opened it and read it, and it had the University of Reading stamp on it, and I thought, oh, okay, this is real. And then it kind of started sinking in a bit.
That is remarkable, isn't it? There you are, Dr. Nancy now. So the thing is, it's the work you're doing and have done so far, the Nasio Trust. So tell me more.
So I was born in a rural village in Western Kenya. We're not far from the Ugandan border. It's about an hour away. And 21 years ago, my mom, who was at the time was 79, found an abandoned baby boy, 3-month-old baby boy. I live in UK, so I'd gone to visit and just really frustrated by this endless torture of a 79-year-old looking after, at the time he was only 6 months old. And I felt that because I'm a 13th child, bear in mind my mom had 13 children, so I'm a 13th child. You can imagine I had thought, well, this is it. She's finished with looking after babies, and now suddenly she's looking after a 6-month-old baby. And I'm ashamed to say I did take her to the local police station and said, look, my mom is too old. She can't do this. It's your responsibility as government to find someone to look after the baby. And the police officer who was behind the counter just laughed and said, oh, you sound like you have a bit of money. You look like you're dressed smartly. You need to go and help your mom look after the boy. And so, well, at the time, to be honest, my mom was really ashamed of me. That's not what she expected. And we went back home, and she was really excited that she had been given permission by someone who was in authority, a police officer in this case. So I went home and I said, look, what do we do? And I also realized for someone to abandon a 3-month-old baby boy, it must be bigger than just a problem. It must be women are desperate, because most babies are abandoned in cities, not in the village. Because when you live in villages, everyone knows everybody. So someone would have known a mother would have been pregnant, given birth, kept the baby for 3 months. Then how can the baby just disappear? So that is what made me thinking clearly there is a bigger problem than this. And we now, looking back 20 years later, is poverty. And people do strange things when they're poor. And that was just one of them. And anyway, 20 years or 21 years later, he's a big boy now. He's in college. He's studying to be a health dentist. And we now support just over 400 children. So we've built 2 daycare centers. We take children at the age of 3 because that's the initial age where children need to develop, and most poor families at that point cannot feed their children. So we provide food, healthcare, and education. And just some are malnourished, so we make sure that we give them a good diet to keep them healthy, so that they can develop like any other child.
It's incredible, isn't it? What a learning curve for you to start the charity and everything that now, I suppose in some ways when it comes to charity, you take for granted because you're doing it day in, day out. But you had to set all of that up right from the very start, from scratch.
I mean, it's just incredible. Because people ask me, if you didn't do this, what else would you do? And I used to work for Thames Valley Police. I used to be one of the trainers at Hampstead. I used to train, and it was nice. You go in class, you teach, and you go home. However, this has changed my life because you see the impact. You take a child who's been malnourished, you come back a month later and the staff are telling you this child is healthy, they're playing. You see a child, because we also have a hospital. We built a hospital because one of our 6-year-old orphans died on the way to hospital, and I was just devastated because I thought, how could this happen? So we built a hospital. And we treat about 20,000 patients a year. So you walk through the wards and you see sick children, you come back, they're now fine, they're back at school. It's the most satisfying job I could ever ask for. And I've met amazing people. You see humanity at its best when you run a charity, and at its worst when you run a charity. So I've met incredible people. I've had an amazing, amazing experience just doing what I do. I make a lot of mistakes along the way, but I have an amazing team.
But I think, you're human, aren't you? So you are going to make mistakes, but at the same time, you've also made great decisions. I mean, can I just ask, the little boy, the 3-month-old that your mum picked up, he's your brother now, is he? And you've changed his life. I mean, he's going to be working in the health industry, changing real people's lives as well, with helping them with their mouths and teeth.
And we laugh because when he was a baby, because my mother was very old, she used to buy him lots of sweets and he had the worst teeth ever. I mean, his teeth literally were falling out, and we laugh now that he's going to be looking after people's teeth. But also, interesting, when my mom was dying, I mean, I left my job and went to be with her until she died. And I say to most people, when your family, when people are dying, I mean, it's a shame they're dying, but you have something to inherit. But my mom said to me, Nancy, whatever you do, do not leave these children. And she said, and I have a piece of land, I want Moses to have it, but don't ever leave these children. And so that was it. So I can never, ever walk away. I can never do anything else because these children have given me so much more than I've actually given them. They're now old, and some of them have finished university, some of them are employed, some of them work at the charity, they're managers, and it's just incredible when you sit with them and just think, my goodness, we've come a long way. 20 years, we've come a long way.
You definitely have. So what next for you then, Nancy? Dr. Nancy, sorry.
So the irony is when I was a child, we used to have, my mom used to have this cabinet, so little wooden box. So she used to keep all the medicines. So the neighbors would come for aspirins and paracetamol and bandages, and she used to call me, my nickname was Doctor, and so she'd say, come on doctor, get the medication so we can treat these people. I laugh because surprisingly I never killed them, because I was only 10, 11, 12, and I would take this little box and get out the medicines and give whoever, whether it's a paracetamol, malaria tablets. So my dream now, because that community needs healthcare, is to build, which is one of the things we want to do, is to build a hospital that will be a teaching hospital, because I want so many young people who want to go into medicine, into nursing, into lab technicians, to be able to be trained in the community, provide the services in the community, and keep people in the community healthy. Because we lost a driver, one of our drivers died, he was diabetic. I mean, people don't die from diabetes just like that, because his blood pressure went down and then he died. We had one of the groundsmen died of meningitis. And so we're saying we don't want people to die from things that can be cured. So what next for me is to build a hospital that will have 30 beds or 60 beds, but also be a teaching hospital so that we can leave a legacy in that community, train as many medical professionals as we can.
Remarkable human being you are there, Nancy. Really good to speak to you. Thank you very much indeed. And congratulations on that honorary doctorate then from the University of Reading, and founder of the Nasio Trust. What a story that is. Kenyan-born Nancy Mudenyo Hunt. and Dr. Nancy Britannia Hunt. It's BBC Radio Berkshire.